I went to a place where I kind of relived my first labor and my first birth, and just I pictured it all in my head, and then that kind of just paused, and I was relaxed a little while, and then I kind of envisioned the next one. So it was really nice for me, and I feel like I connected a lot with my baby, him floating in water and us floating in water. I felt like we were both really relaxed and kind of could really connect, and I kept talking to him, and so I felt like that was really probably the most impactful thing for me, just having that opportunity to go through the last labor and kind of mentally prepare for the next one. So that was really nice.
I felt the vibrations, and I felt really connected to everyone else who was in the water. And I felt like there was a collective ebb and flow of energy moving through me, and I felt as though it was moving through everyone. It was really beautiful.
I noticed that as well. I've only had the chance to come once before and alone, and this time just our fingers touching, I could feel everything from everyone. Like it felt so powerful. So
I am going through a fairly difficult time in my life right now, and it really helped to connect to myself, and self-care is something that's really important right now. So just the connection to myself and taking that time to fully relax and absorb the experience was extremely helpful for me.
For myself, it was a very powerful moment where we were floating in the water, and I got really, really warm, and the heat kind of brought me inwards, and I kind of imagined I was my baby in utero, and so that was a very interesting experience. It was, and at the same time, psychologically, it was almost like a prayer, because I felt as a very religious person, a very spiritual person, that I felt connected to everyone there, and also to the sounds. For me, the vocalizations actually were very powerful. On top of the instruments, when everyone was vocalizing, it felt like a chant, and it really spoke to me.
I felt like I was falling within my body and traveling to like a space where it was just pure relaxation, and I was on my own, and it was an unreal feeling.
For me, I was reminded of a children's book that I've read to my older kids, where it talks about how we're all connected, and the water that we're drinking is the same water that dinosaurs drank. But there's a passage in it where it talks about how we all started life in the ocean, back to our most prehistoric ancestors started in the ocean, and then we as babies start off in salt water, and that same salt water flows through our veins, so our blood is salty. And it was just that, for me, I was going into that kind of very internal space of the connection between salt and water and floating and human growth and evolution. So that's where I felt I went, for sure.
For me, I think it was you when you came around and the drum was right over me. It was like I couldn't hold back my smile. It just felt so powerful, and I felt it through my whole body, but really reactions a lot from the baby, and like you were speaking to him with the drum, and I was just there to be kind of like the person to let that happen and let you two connect. So I really felt that with the drum right over my stomach.
I really felt the crystal bowl, and no matter where it was in the water, but especially when it came closer to me, and it felt as though like my whole heart center just started rising naturally as the crystal bowl got closer to me.
So I actually felt the frequencies in my back, my lower back, the most, especially when we were standing and the drum or the gong was behind us. I think that's at the moment when it was most powerful for me. And the baby was actually quite calm during the entire experience. I think it's because the early morning. The baby doesn't move much in the morning, but the baby did react to the sounds and the vibrations at times, like small little kicks and flutters, as opposed to large movements. I think it put it in a very peaceful zone, and I think that's how I felt as well. So it was a very unifying experience.
I found it really interesting that, although the instruments were over top of me or in front or behind my head, that I actually felt the vibrations coming up from underneath me and through my body. So that was a really neat experience. The crystal bowls, I loved the sound of them. I almost felt like they entered through my crown and sort of just vibrated through my whole body and exited through my feet. But when the drum came over top of me, that was a really, really powerful experience for me and felt really grounding. And the water is for me, being underwater is the most peaceful place in the world. So it was a really wonderful experience to have all those vibrations going on with my body and feeling everyone else's energy while being in the water.
That you can speak to water, and you can say things and drop things like crystals and flowers into water, and it can leave the impression, and when that water freezes, you can have different looks to the water. So if say you say a negative word like hatred or something, then the water freezes in a very kind of fractured pattern, and then if you say gentle loving words and gentle loving frequencies, then it's a very beautiful sort of pattern and fractals, and that's my understanding of it. So the energy you put into water stays in the water and can affect the people who are drinking it or swimming in it.
Sure. I mean, just the sheer beauty of intention and what we can infuse into water, and that we are water, so much of ourselves, and consciously creating a container like this where you can infuse that kind of love and joy and bliss and beauty and anything else you choose really sets a path forward.
Come, ride the waves of my mind. Let the tides of my love sweep you into my eternal heart. Feel the sacred waters flowing, no beginning, no end. Rivers running into oceans, wells too deep to comprehend. Feel the sacred waters flowing. Ah.